flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start today's meeting, I would like to congratulate the presently serving board members for their re-election. And I would also like to pay recognition to Brian Stevens. Is he on?
I'm not seeing him.
He's traveling today, so.
I'm not seeing him. Maybe later.
Okay, well, I'll just say what I was going to say. So I would like to congratulate Brian on becoming a newly elected board member that's not already seated on the board to represent Zone 5 beginning on July 1st. We want him to, we welcome him. We welcome him to the D21 board, and we appreciate his willingness to serve and contribute to the work of the board in the future. So thank you, Brian, and congratulations on your electoral victory. So taking a look at the agenda, first is the any review or revisions of the agenda, and I do have a change to make. Hold on. I want to pull the May 4th Budget Committee meeting minutes, number 2, from the consent agenda because there is a clarification statement that we need to add to those minutes and read them. So I would like to pull just that part of the consent agenda. And so the other 2 elements, which would be the personnel and what's the other one? Besides personnel. I'm having a blank.
The school board meeting minutes on April 22nd.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, that's right. The minutes for April 22nd. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do those things separately. So I'd entertain, so if that's all right with you and there's no objection, we'll move forward with that plan. Hearing no objection, we'll move forward. So next on the agenda is the district mission and vision statement. Dave, would you like to read that?
Mission statement: graduating all students to be college and career ready, challenging, inspiring, and empowering them to be healthy and productive citizens. Vision statement: North Wasco is a premier school district. We provide students a rigorous and relevant education with schools performing academically in the top 5% of the nation. Our students are inspired by a talented, innovative, and highly effective staff that values continuous professional growth. Our district graduates citizens who are ethical and motivated to achieve their limitless potential. North Wasco is fully embraced by the community, reflecting its health and well-being.
Thank you, Dave. Superintendent Peters, would you like to take the meeting from here for this next part, which is student and staff recognition?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair Nelson. And I'd like to invite Kurt Evans to also join me for this part. Tonight we're recognizing our advanced placement, our AP scholars, and then also our cheerleaders for their achievements this year. And so, Mr. Evans, would you like to start off with our AP scholars and explain what that means and introduce them, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Can everybody hear me? My camera's not on. I can't see myself, so I'm not sure if you're hearing me or not.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Okay. The AP Scholar, every year, well, first of all, AP exam is a nationally normed exam that offers students college credit once they transfer their scores into a university after high school. The courses are rigorous, and so that's why we offer them, because we want students to take rigorous courses. There's a recognition comes out each year for students that earn a 3 or higher on multiple exams. And so last year we had multiple students that earned a 3 or higher on 3 or more exams, and those students are called AP Scholars. And then if a student earned higher on 4 or more exams, with an average score of 3.5, those students are referred to as AP Scholar with honors. And we put the photos up in our hallway. On the right side as you're walking down the main hallway is where those pictures are at. So last year, because the test is this time every year, so we don't know who has earned the recognition for this year's test. But for last year's exam, we had, there were 3 juniors that earned AP Scholar recognition, and AP Scholar recognition was Nicholas Caracciolo, Elena Cardosi, and Elijah Perkins. And I think those guys are all with us. Yeah, I see Elijah. Yep, they're all there. So those 3 earned AP Scholar recognition. And then we had 4 juniors last year that earned AP Scholar with honors. So these students earned 3 or higher in 4 exams. And those are Isabella Marlinga, Yahir Sentian, Avery Winwood, and Jesse Larson. And those 4 were AP Scholar with honors. So it's you're in a pretty low percentage category to earn those recognitions. So I'm very proud of those kids, and then they'll be placed in our hallway.
Well, very well done, students. Congratulations to you. That is a lot of hard work, and we are very proud of you. Board, do you have any comments?
Well, I have a daughter who is taking the AP exam and just took the mock one, and I can see all the work she pours into that one exam, so I can't imagine taking 3 or 4 of them in a year. You guys are amazing and bring me a lot of hope for our future, so thank you.
Yeah, and we had a few more students that graduated last year that also earned the same honors, but and they'll also go up on the wall. But very, very impressive.
I guess I would just well done. That's awesome to see that you guys are taking on just the rigorous courses, but then also being able to show what you've been able to kind of achieve and learn via the test. Because I know those are standardized and normalized tests that everyone gets to take across the country, and to be able to kind of represent not only your high school but the community is a job well done. So thank you guys and congrats. And those seniors that are moving on, best of luck to you in your future endeavors. And we hope you guys come back and show the next step of your lives. So thank you.
I'll add to that. I just want to, I just appreciate you for the hard work you've done, and you are our future. So your hard work is going to pay off not only for you, but all of society. And so I guess I just applaud the passion you guys have for learning and sticking to it, and sometimes having to do awkward things like take a lot of tests and be judged all the time. Judy.
Sorry, not to belabor the point, but if you guys in your adventures to come ever need to remember a fan club, look around this table. The school is absolutely your fan club.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Evans, would you like to go ahead and touch on our cheerleaders and talk a little bit also about the OSAA and but also the cheer and the accomplishments that they had with the Oregon Cheer Association, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So athletics obviously were unusual this year. I was just in the gymnasium where we're playing basketball, and it's so weird. I've sat through, gone to, a million basketball games. And so when you walk in and you see a basketball game, something inside of my brain says it's winter time, right? It should be Christmas and there should be snow outside. And so to walk in and see basketball going on, but yet it's, the end of May is just, anyway. So all the sports seasons were a little bit unusual this year. We were grateful that we got to participate in them. So what we just completed a week or two ago was the spring sports season, which actually occurred in the spring. But that was so track and field and tennis and softball, baseball, those sports. It's also the same time that cheer competes at their culminating events, their state championship events. This year, the state championship event was put on by the Oregon Cheer Association. OSA did not put on any culminating events. Regardless, all of the same teams were present and there that would have been at any other OSA culminating event. So without further ado, I want to congratulate our cheer squad and Kelsey Wallace as the head coach, as they are state champs this year in cheer for the state of Oregon. So congratulations, ladies. And you're seeing them all now, I guess. And Kelsey, I don't know if you want to say anything, or you're the one that coached them, so I'll let you say a few things if you'd like.
Thanks. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm in my car. I'm commuting. But thank you guys for honoring us. It was a very unusual season, as we all know. I think that I can speak on behalf of my team and my fellow assistant coach, Jessica, that we were at the one point in time not even sure we were going to get a season. So to be able to finish it out and to come out on top, and with all the challenges that we were faced with this year, I think that we are all very, very excited for this opportunity, and I'm just really, really proud of our athletes for pushing through and never giving up, even though when things got hard. And so yeah, I think that's all.
Great, thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
I'll move on to on track and field a little bit and talk about that. That we had I went down to the culminating event. It was again, it was an invitational at Wilsonville High School. So the top 16 athletes in each event were invited to that track meet. And the athletes did perform very well. We had many students that made the podium. We had one individual, though, that came away with the gold medal, and that was Taylor Morehouse in the pole vault. So Taylor won the state meet this year in the pole vault. So congratulations to Taylor.
Very well done. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one question. Did I see before Coach Wallace and the team leaves, are you guys doing a performance next week? Did I see that correctly? I don't know if Kelsey's still there.
Yes, sorry. We had a couple parents come together and coordinate something for us. So Tuesday night, we will be live streaming our state routine on the big screen at Sunshine Mill at 8:30 p.m. So we will be doing our sideline routine, who placed fourth in the accumulating event, and then we will be presenting our state championship routine as well. So we would love anybody who is wanting to drive out and support them and congratulate them and cheer them on, we would greatly appreciate the support.
Awesome, thank you. I thought I'd seen that, so that's why I want to make sure that the community was aware of. And again, congrats. I think this is, since I've been on the board now twice, so we've recognized yourself and the squad. So kudos and keep it up. I want to see you guys here at the end of every school year now.
Okay, we'll shoot for that.
I'd like to say this, that I really feel that cheerleaders are important for our spirit and encouraging the students who are athletes to work harder. I know that I ran 3 marathons in my lifetime, and the one thing that sustained me was the cheering of the crowd. You know, when you're just like trying to, those last few miles in a marathon, you need every bit of cheering possible. And it really kept me going. And I think the same thing happens with the athletes in the games. You're a very important part of that. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, we have most of our state championship photos on the wall in the school are of the cheerleading team. I'd love for you guys to spread some of that to the other sports if you could in some way, because we need some state championships from some of our other sports as well. But yeah, excellent job.
Next, Chair Nelson, we're going to just recognize some new hires that we have to the district. So we have some supervisors that will be telling us a little bit about their staff that have joined their teams this school year. And
Here you are.
so it'll. All right, Mr. Evans, would you like to talk to us about your new staff? And I think that we have a couple of new staff from the middle school after that.
So my new staff that were hired this year, Teresa. Yeah, this year we hired, well, even though the year's almost over, it doesn't seem like they're new now, I guess, but we had 2 counselors that we hired this year, were Raquel McSwain and Clara Hochstetler. And we also hired a 1-year science teacher, was Yusuf Yusufi, that filled in for us for science. We also hired a, sorry, my drawing a blank, a math teacher, Shudi Data, and Shudi's he's gonna stay on with us next year as well as a math teacher. He was on a temporary contract, but we hired him permanently, so we're happy to have him on board.
Perfect. Thank you, Kurt. That was it was Shooty Data, so thank you for touching base on that new hire. And then we also have, I believe, Joe Martin, who is a new hire that supports students in our Nordcorp education program. And I don't see him there. Okay. And then we have staff from our Nutrition Services Department, and Kara Flath will be introducing them.
Yes, I get the next 2 sections. Actually, we have 2 new staff and newish staff in operations, and our Don Carter is on vacation, so you get second string here, and I don't think either one of them are on, but Erica Barajas is actually filling in for one of our employees who's out on military leave. She's a night custodian at one of the, I think she's at Chenoweth. And she's also been filling in at our transportation department when we had some vacation leave, and she's been doing a fabulous job, but she's been a long-term sub, so she does a good job. We also have Larry Wingo. He has taken over our mail and deliveries for the district and doing a fabulous job. We were able to steal him from FedEx, so he has great experience, and I like to tout about that, and it was. And then we have a few nutrition, new lunch ladies, so to say. They're all working hard. Nutrition's been one of the backbones that we've had during hybrid, and even online learning. They have been had it strong and still have summer school to go, and they're fabulous ladies. And I think one of them is in here. Miriam, is she? I see she's here, and I'm going to read what they wrote about her because I haven't had the opportunity to meet her yet, but she joined the middle school team in January and has been key to our transition to hybrid. Her talent for planning tasks ahead over several days makes it easier to adapt when unexpected changes come up, and I hear she's doing a fabulous job. So thank you, Marion. Welcome aboard. And the other two are Inez Aguirre. She's from the Dalles Middle School, but she actually joined Dry Hollow, I think, right after spring break, so she's moved. She has extensive experience in working food production and helps keep the highest volume school in stellar shape, and they're keeping up with all the volume. The other one is Karen Wallace Savage. She's a longtime sub for the department. She took the plunge to join the middle school on a regular basis in March and has been in charge of the PM cohort meal distribution since starting hybrid. Meant some of the nutrition services staff had to stay a little later for the PM group because it was a little unusual. So welcome aboard all of them, and we appreciate our nutrition services people and our operations.
Thank you so much. And another section for our staff recognition. Tonight we're recognizing some retiring staff members. We have 4 people that we've invited to join us who, we also have several other staff that are retiring this year. However, they're very private and they ask not to necessarily be spotlighted at the board meeting. So I will ask their current supervisors to talk a little bit about them. And so, let's see here. Yep. And could I have Mrs. Dossett, would you mind going first and talking about your retiring staff members, please? You're on mute, my dear.
I will so miss you saying that next year. So we have 2 retirees at our school. In fact, they both worked together for a number of years until Yvonne Husky, the first one I'll talk about, moved to 3rd grade this year. And it's been incredible to watch her teach as she makes up chants for the kids to understand math problems and grammar and English. And she has a whole citizenship thing she does with the kids where they're learning responsibility and grit and citizenship. And it's just really, really wonderful to see. Both of my retirees came into teaching secondarily to other careers. So Yvonne just told me a few weeks ago that she actually was a heavy equipment driver on roads and things like that. So she came to teaching late, and she has been one of those people that has a lot of interest. I teasingly tell her that she saved my marriage because she makes the most incredible raspberry jam ever on the planet. I think it's called Husky Hill Happiness. And every time my husband runs out of it for his toast in the morning, she somehow magically produces the bottle that very same day, and I take it home. She is a real encourager to our staff. In fact, last year she did one of the culminating projects that we had at the school was an entire art time that took place in the gym. Every single student at the same time made hearts, and they were put on a board and they're permanently posted in the gym right now. So that's just been absolutely amazing. She works with the 4-H gardening club, and I'm hoping that she'll continue servicing there. I'll just find her out gardening in the on Colonel Wright property, and she's painted doors and just involves herself as much as she can, encouraging and building up the area and improving on its look. My second retiree is Steve Chance. Some of you may have had children who had him or know people who have had him as a teacher. He also came into teaching as a secondary employment type of thing. He retired from Rose Arts, where he started at age 14. He served 23 years there, I believe, and now he's been 24 years in education. And 22 of those have been at Colonel Wright Elementary School in the same 5th grade classroom. So he's skied with the kids. He has this incredible thing called Water Wars he does at the end of the year. He's had overnighters at the school. Both he and Yvonne have done field trips, science field trips, and had the secrets program brought into the school that works with the kids. One of the things when I first came to the school district, I had a time when I invited staff to just come in and meet me before the year started. And Steve came in and he had just come back from Belize. And I thought, yeah, surf guy, one of those kinds of guys. Well, it turns out, as we've developed a friendship over the last couple of years, that he went to Belize and he was really, really curious about this elementary school. So he walked into it and he started teaching a class and was asked to take the class over. And he ended up taking educators, many of his family members and teachers from other schools, and they go to Belize and they teach during vacation time. So I think that's pretty amazing. I teasingly tell him that he is my phone call person. Every Friday he makes an amazing number of phone calls. And I saw a meme the other day that said, I have a secret skill. I know your parents' numbers. I will call them. And that's Steve. Both of these people, big hearts for kids. It's pretty amazing, and it's an extraordinary loss to our school. But again, to kids in Belize, where I hope I will be able to go and teach one summer coming up myself.
Thank you, Mrs. Dossett. Mr. Rundell, would you mind touching base on the Dry Hollow staff that are retiring?
Yeah, so we have a couple of staff members at Dry Hollow that are also retiring this year, with also decades of experience in the building. And I know, just talking to some of the staff here, this is my first year here, but just chatting with some of the staff in the building, I know for sure Dry Hollow is not going to be the same place without Debbie LaFond and Julie Eddy. And Miss LaFond is here. And so I asked some of the teachers she worked with to kind of help me say some things about her, because this year I've just been trying to move her around from room to room and avoid sticking her someplace without a window to participate in Zoom. So the classroom teacher she works with had some of these things to say about her. Debbie has worked as a kindergarten assistant for 19 years. Prior to that, she was a Title I assistant at Chenoweth for 6 years, so 25 years of experience in education. And once she hit the kindergarten scene, she was a dream come true to all kindergartners and kids in the classroom. Her duties were many, and she always handled the fast-paced and unpredictable happenings of the kindergarten classroom with a smile. She was a champion at organizing. She could whip up a spreadsheet in no time. She could organize an entire day of classwork at untold speeds and could collate and bind our giant Christmas book that take days to make and require pounds of glitter all in one afternoon. And I know that those are things that the kindergarten students here treasure for years and years. She will miss wiping noses, tying shoelaces, especially the ones straight out of the children's restrooms, and listening to endless stories told by 5-year-old kids. She loved spur of the moment projects, especially when paint was involved. And she was the best kickball pitcher that kids could ask for. Above all else, Debbie has enhanced the lives of every learner that has entered the classroom. From greeting them every morning with a kind smile to teaching them to read and write, every child had no doubt that they were important. They all knew they would be cared for, they would be safe, and they would be loved. One thing for certain is that in her 25 years, Debbie has given away thousands of hugs, but most importantly, she has created thousands of positive memories that will stay in the hearts of children forever. Debbie, I really appreciate all the work that you've helped me accomplish this year and all the side conversations that we've been able to have. So I know you'll enjoy wiping your grandchildren's noses and your trip to Spain this fall. So thank you so much for all your years of service to Dry Hollow. And then the other teacher who is retiring is Julie Eddy, also several decades of experience at Dry Hollow. And she would definitely prefer me to say something funny or rude about her, but I'm not going to do that. I asked her daughter to help me prepare some comments because, again, she's been here far longer than I have. And Zoom was new for her this year, and she reminded me that she used to be the tech person in the building that was good at connecting the wires, but Zoom was a whole new challenge. But she's been a fixture at Dry Hollow for decades. She's had several teachers in the building as former students. She's recognized and by parents and children in the community. She's always chosen to teach the students who struggle most and provide structure and stability. Time and time again, teachers have told me how much structure she provides in her classroom and how great it is for some of the students that struggle. She always is advocating strongly for her students. This year, time and time again, she would leave school to go pick something up for a student who needed something. She advocated for programs and kept them going, spending her own time to weed and water the school garden, raising multiple classroom animals, maximizing science units. She taught sign language and yoga and worked to find ways to help students learn. I know walking by her classroom after recess when kids are practicing mindfulness, they look so relaxed. And her daughter would like me to say that as a former teacher herself, she always was amazed by her classroom management, stern, but the students always felt loved. High school kids would always tell her how much they loved her mother as a teacher in the elementary schools, and even adults in the community. So it's definitely not going to be the same place without Debbie and Julie next year. So thank you guys both so much for all of your contributions to the students of Dry Hollow.
Thank you very much. And Yvonne and Debbie, how exciting. I'm excited for your retirement, for you to enjoy. You worked, so many years for this. And so I'm excited about that. We'll miss you. And thank you so much for your years of service to our schools and our kids.
And thank you, AJ, for the kind words. I appreciate it. And Mrs. Peters, I'm going to make it to Barcelona this fall, so I'll get that guidebook back to you as soon as I get back to USA.
No hurry. Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to say that it's been a pleasure to serve. And Mrs. Dossett, Carol, I really have appreciated working under your tutelage and support. It's been phenomenal. I just want to draw attention to the fact that I started at Colonel Wright way back in the 70s and worked from the district in 76 with Miss Gladys Caddy, or Resnicek, if anybody remembers her, Bill and Gladys. So it's been a long and illustrious educational career, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to say a quick word, though? Congrats and thank you to everyone. I mean, I appreciate what you guys have done for students here throughout the many years that you've been involved with D21. But I did want to say a special thank you to Mrs. LaFawn, because my son Eric adores you, and I'm very happy that he had the privilege to get to work with you at least 1 year. So thank you, because I always hear the stories from Eric at home from Mrs. LaFawn. So thank you for everything. I can tell how much of an amazing educator just by what you've done and what I've seen from my son in just the 1 year. So thank you so much, and happy retirement.
Thank you. And I have to say, I enjoyed learning to do Zoom along with your son, who I labeled my guinea pig, because I was all new to it in September. And he was always willing to be the first one to work with me in a breakout room so I could iron out all of my mistakes. So you have a wonderful son. Thank you.
I'll say this, since I'm a retired teacher and have been retired for about a decade or more, all the things I thought I would be doing when I retired, I'm not. I find, for myself anyway, that you create a whole new reality, and you can't even predict what you're going to be doing 10 years from now. It'll be something entirely different than you think. So anyway, congratulations on your retirement, and enjoy the rest of your time.
All right, and next we have cross-country coach Bob Tubanal, who's joining us. We recognized him last month, but we wanted we missed actually seeing him in person, so, well, virtually. So Kurt, could you touch base a little bit on Bob Tubanal and his career?
Well, yeah, I'll try to summarize a 50-year career best I can. That's how many years Bob has worked for the Dalles High School. He, anything I say is going to understate what he's contributed to the district or to this community, not just this district, but the prior districts. If you think about a 50-year career, and I think Bob's just popping in now, that I asked him the other day, I said, it's not uncommon for teachers or coaches to have the children of the people that they've coached. I said, but have you ever had the grandchildren of the people that you coached? Because when I'm doing the arithmetic with my son and myself and then my parents, it's feasible that we all could have, 3 generations could have had Bob as a coach. So I first met Bob, I knew who he was when I was in high school back in the late 80s, and met him, started working with him as a track coach when I came here as a teacher in 2004. He's coached, he had 1 state championship team for a cross country. There was at least 1 track and field. He wasn't the head coach for track and field, but the distance coach for track and field for many different years. Numerous state champions, both on the track team and on the cross country team. And just a local advocate for distance running in this community. He coordinates or has done for many years, the Cherry Festival run that starts up at Dry Hollow. I don't know if it was him or his wife that started the Bob Along. That's another 5K run that they do here in town, kind of a fundraiser. But he's just been I've really enjoyed the time working with Bob myself. And again, just, hundreds, maybe even thousands of athletes that he's influenced. And it's been such he'll be a huge hole to fill. And coincidentally, as the person taking over his position is fittingly one of his former athletes, Jill Pearson. She'll take over the cross country head coach position here at the high school that Bob is vacating. So Bob Tubanal.
I don't know. I don't think you can see me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you fine, Bob.
Okay. Yeah, I was in the meeting there, and all of a sudden things started to happen. But anyhow, I just appreciate the school board hiring me clear back in 1968. I started out with Al Miller, who had been my high school cross country and track and field coach at the Dalles High School. And anyhow, I just appreciate the opportunity to work with the kids at the Dalles High School and also at St. Mary's Academy for about 6 years doing middle school cross country. So probably a long time in coming, but anyhow, I've enjoyed the time.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, since Bob's on there, and you coach my daughter, who's a very reluctant runner. She's, I'm not going to say that she loves running because of you, but she's really appreciated you're so welcoming of people of all skill levels. I mean, we have a friend who tried to join the Hood River cross country team, and she was not made to feel welcome because she wasn't a star runner. But that's not the case at the Dalles High School. You welcome everyone regardless of their skill and turn them into athletes. And I just appreciate that that you just are willing and open to work with anyone, and you get them all to excel and meet their potential. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for your years of service. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
Okay. So thank you for that part of the agenda. Next is the student representative reports. And we'll start with the high school. Sophia?
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm the new ASB school board rep for the Dallas High School. This is my first meeting, so I'm kind of figuring out how it works as I go. So I talked to some of the staff at my school. They kind of told me like what I should talk about, so I'm just gonna make it brief. The clubs at our school, robotics is done. There's no more band or culinary. The car club is currently making a car for the Gambler 500 Derby race, which I believe is soon. It's like the end of June. The NHS inductions were a few days ago. And the play Young Ben Snipes is out. You can watch it on YouTube. It is based on donations, so you can go and watch that. My friend is in it, so go support that. The seniors, theirs is the last week, next week, June 2nd. The Riverhawk Walk is on June 4th, and graduation day is coming up for them. The AP tests are on June 3rd, that week, I think. Sports, we kind of already went over. The winter sports are beginning, which is strange, but it's okay. The girls cheer won, congrats to them. The boys basketball played in Bend, JV won, and varsity lost. The girls basketball played in Redmond, and wrestling is going on right now. And the ASB elections were just current. And we are electing for freshman class at the end of this fall.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from the board? Jose?
Welcome, Sophie, since it's your first meeting, and thank you. That's a lot going on. I know with sports being compressed with everything, there's so much going on. So thank you for kind of, keeping us up to speed with that. And then since this is our last meeting before graduation, I just want to say congrats to the class of 21. And I can't wait to see you guys on the stage on Saturday the 5th. So we'll see you there.
Okay, Raphael, you're next for the middle school. Hi, Raphael.
Hello. I'm Raphael, the Vice President of ASB at the middle school. This past month we had 2 spirit days, College Gear Day and Comfy Friday. We also had a college logo art contest to encourage students to think about their plans after school. As the year comes to an end, we are also starting to plan for the fall. ASB made a welcome video for the 5th graders that Mrs. Harris will play on Step Up Day. We are excited to welcome up new 6th graders and show them around TDMS. Everyone at school is looking forward to Hat Day and the student store coming up on June 4th. To buy things from the student store, you have to use stamps that you can earn from teachers for having good behavior and participating in class. Students can buy things like bouncy balls, sticky hands, pencils, Lego sets, and books. Miss Barriga has done a great job choosing fun prizes for the store. We completed ASB interviews yesterday and will be training a new group of students to take over our positions in the fall. That is the end of my report. Do you have any questions?
Just thank you for all your reports. This year it's been great to hear everything that's kind of happening at the middle school. So thank you for all your reports this year. And hope you have a great summer, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. So AJ, you're going to represent the elementary school level because you have been doing an amazing fundraiser. Your school.
Yes, yeah, Sophie, this is my first student report also, and I'm here to report that the Dry Hollow Student Council So they wanted to come up with a fundraiser, and we were kind of thinking of things that we could do a fundraiser for. And we were going to do something for like a bigger national organization, but the kids decided that doing something for the local community would be more beneficial for everybody. And with everything that's been going on with cirrhosis lately, we decided that, or the students decided really, that doing a fundraiser for Cirrhosis Park would be the best thing to do. So along with their advisors, Courtney Kaiser and Melissa Hollister, we put on a fundraiser to kiss the pig. So each student, or each class, we had a class competition. Each class tallied up the totals. In total, we raised over $3,000 for Cirrhosis Park for the replanting of the trees. I had the honor of wandering around the school a couple times in a pig costume that Mr. Kaiser bought for me. And Miss Stewart's class was the winner. They raised nearly $500. And so she kissed the pig. And then I was the runner up. And so the entire student body selected me to kiss the pig. And so I heard a rumor that this video was shared with the school board. So I hope you enjoyed it. So, but very proud of the students at Dry Hollow for thinking of the community.
Thank you. Great report for your first one. Okay, let's see. That's it on that. So next on the agenda, the comments from the audience about non-agenda items. And I don't believe there are any comments, either written or a request to speak. So I just want to say that the board always appreciates your input and encourages you to participate in that process. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. So we have pulled the budget committee meeting minutes to consider. We need to approve and amend the consent agenda. And that includes pulling the budget committee meeting minutes. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. I'd like to move the discussion of the budget committee meeting minutes to further along in the agenda to item number 12, which will be towards the end of the meeting. And at that time, we can take up the minutes, read the clarification statement, discuss those issues, and approve the minutes as amended. And that would be then putting the clarification statements in the minutes. That's our intent, is to pull them from the consent, out of the consent agenda and consider them and put them in the minutes for the budget committee meeting. I hope I haven't totally confused you and lost you, board members. So I would need a motion at this time to approve the consent agenda as amended. And that would be to remove the minutes from consideration and discuss those and read them to you later.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Yes, so that's true. So we're approving the consent agenda as amended. So is that your motion? Is that your,
yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I didn't hear the beginning.
And he seconded.
And Dave seconded. Okay. Any discussion on that at this time? Okay, with that, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, raise your hand or say aye. Aye. And Judy says aye. Okay, very good. That's unanimous. So the motion passes. Okay. Where are we at here? So next item on the agenda is the board action calendar review. And So May, one of the things that we've added here is, is there any addition? Hold on. So are there any questions about the May's items or suggestions to change that in any way? Ouch. Okay.
It just, I think if I remember right, we're gonna actually have our PLT in June. So not this month, right? So that block of, monitor progress would move to June.
Correct.
But do you want to, moving forward, do you want to move that to June?
Or keep it
No, I don't think so. I was just clarifying that the intent is that, this month we're not, or will not be doing that because it'll move to June for this year.
But keep it as it is.
I think so.
And honestly, it may need to be moved to June
In
general, because we wait until we have done our end of the year assessments. And so to be able to report on the data for our student benchmarks, I think that may need to be considered for the future to be moved to June.
Any other thoughts? Okay. What about June? We did discuss the school board retreat agenda in June and a status update on board committees such as renaming schools and the equity committee. So we've added that to the other things that have been there. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Next item is board discussion around legislative advocacy. Jose, I know you do have some stuff there.
Yeah, there's a couple of meetings coming up that I've been invited to. One is with Senator Merkley on Tuesday. So they've invited head of the public town hall, just local elected officials. So I'll be attending that. It's a half hour before the main virtual town hall. So that's Tuesday. And then I also got, as part of the legislative policy committee with OSBA that I also serve, I got an invite for Thursday to get kind of a sneak peek and provide feedback on the guidance that's going to be coming out for fall, essentially. So I think I actually just got that as I was driving today. So I got to look through that to be able to get feedback on Thursday. So good opportunity just to be able to kind of voice, what makes sense for D21 in our community. So the other thing, just kind of out of Salem, that I think a lot of us have seen is the topic of class sizes now being part of the bargaining. And so that is moving forward. And so that'll now be part of just kind of what we do in terms of bargaining. The other kind of big news out of Salem is on the budget side. So originally that number was at 9.1 billion. It got bumped up to 9.3. There was some efforts, and I believe a lot of I think I saw it from Minority Leader Drazen. She was trying to push along with the Republican caucus to move it up to 9.6, which is kind of where that funding level would keep things adequate for what it should be, but it got settled at 9.3, which I believe is what we budgeted for, if I remember right. So that was good on our part there. But, it was really the topics I had on my end.
Can I ask a question? The class size bill, will that affect your school? I know they made it for certain schools now, Title. Are you part of that?
Yeah, we have 3 schools right now that are Title I School Wide schools, so that's our elementary schools. And I believe that I I believe Moser received some funding or staffing for Title I as well as Riverbend, or in the past.
Yes, Riverbend is not running right now, but
So that would affect bargaining with
It
those
could.
teachers. Could, or, yeah. It's not
Well-
for sure yet.
Well, it could affect the bargaining. I mean, I think partly too, class size. I mean, who knows what's going to be brought to the table, but I also think, depending on the enrollment at buildings, space is an issue as well. So it's all a factor.
Yeah. You can't create new classrooms. I also was curious about that bill that passed the Renewal school districts to be prohibited guns in the district. Is that something that will take up at some point? Yeah, it's up to the district. So is there any intention of bringing that up?
I think we'll wait for some guidance from OSBA. I'm sure there'll be, as it gets finalized and rolled out, I think there'll be some guidance from OSBA and then I would assume.
Okay, the subcommittee reports are next on the agenda. Rebecca, would you like to report on the Education Foundation? You have something to report on?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So a few things. Our spring pledge drive has brought in so far about $6,900, and we had a goal of 10,000, but we're on our way there. And they just put another call out to alumni from the district to donate to that. And we immediately launched the Golden Apple Awards program, which is a new program to award excellence in our staff in D21 as well as volunteers. And nominations close tomorrow. So far, when I checked this morning, there were 55 nominations. So I'm really impressed that the community has stepped up and nominated a lot of stellar people. I think it's actually going to be very hard for our nomination review committee to even decide on 4 awardees out of this phenomenal group of people. So one more day for people to nominate out there in public. If you want to go to our website, there's a link to nominate someone, and it's very simple to fill out that link. And then the third thing is we are taking PayPal donations for the Young Ben Snipes theater production that the high school put on. The foundation is receiving those funds, and then we'll give it back to the high school. And I just wanted to let the public know that we have not received very many funds, and usually the theater department pulls in, over $10,000 in box office sales when they do their productions. And so far, I'm just going to put it out there, we've only received $150. So hope that the community can see this and step up a little bit and donate to watch that movie. And it was really a delightful movie. I mean, it was so unique, and I loved how they got to use outdoor scenes and actually use the historical house and Snipes' house. And yeah, it was cool. It was fun. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. How about Director Richardson? Do you have anything on wellness?
I do not have a report.
Okay, thank you. Director Jones, do you have anything to say about building and facility?
I just want to say I'm kind of excited to see the work on Kurtz get started next month. And around June 21st, Mike from Athletic Field Design will be down to totally redo our softball field for the varsity softball field. All new dirt, everything reset, laser leveled. Should look nice.
Oh, cool.
That's all I have.
Okay. Jose, what about District Equity Committee?
No real update other than next week is the final meeting of the academic year. So it'll be very cool to have completed kind of the first year of this committee's existence. So it's kind of an exciting time. So we'll have an update kind of next time.
Okay. And I have no updates on the Wasco County Forest Collaborative either. So with that, new business presentation report, Superintendent Peters.
Thank you, Chair Nelson. School is coming right along. It's fun to see normal activities like the rockets at 5th grade and I believe middle school, scheduling those for the coming weeks. Since our last board meeting, we have had 6 positive COVID cases that impacted various schools, and the last of those, we sent the notice out May 13th. Cases have increased over the past 2-week, 14-day time frame, this, at least on Monday, when those come out. But we're hoping that they're leveling off right now, and so that we can carry on with our final 2 weeks of school with little to no impact from COVID cases. We have received late last week clarification from the Department of Ed regarding the face covering requirements and Ready School Safe Learners. Schools can choose to continue to require facial coverings universally, or there are also some certain things that we could do. Some affect students, some affect staff, and some would affect spectators. But there are also requirements that are tied to those. So, for example, for staff or spectators, we would have to follow the OHA requirements around vaccination, documentation, verification, etc. So for the remaining 2 weeks, we're going to go ahead and, after consulting with admin staff, pouring over the various levels of the guidance, we are going to maintain as is with the mask requirements. And students are continue to be allowed mask breaks, which we've had in place all along, indoors as well as outdoors, with certain guidelines. And so that's still in place. Our sports follow the OSAA and county sector guidance. So outdoors, masks are not required for sports. Physical distancing, though, still applies. Let's see. And OHA does continue to strongly recommend that those that are unvaccinated, even outside, when they're unvaccinated or at high risk, that they continue to wear facial coverings. Also, I think 2 days ago, the Department of Ed sent out a communication to school districts across the state, encouraging districts to work with their local public health departments around vaccination clinics. And in that email, Director Colt Gill highlighted the Friday Night Lights event that was done here in the Dallas, and the partnership between North Wasco and the Central Public Health District. So that was nice to see that spotlight shown on our district and that partnership. Along with that, our local health department let us know that there will be a FEMA mobile vaccination unit in Wasco County for 6 weeks. And we are working with them on premise use requests for placement of the unit out on the west side of town at Wetumpka, and then also possibly at Dry Hollow. And I believe it will also be placed at St. Mary's in an effort to better serve our community around that. And we have, as you know, graduation at Cirrhosis Park coming up, which is pretty exciting, a week from Saturday. Summer school plans, we have a little more than 100 students' parents expressing interest in summer school for K-8, which is great. We are planning on serving meals, of course, to the students that are there in the program, but also for the K-8 program that'll be at the middle school. Our 9 through 12 program, of course, will be at the high school. And then we also have our migrant summer program that will be at Dry Hollow. And so meals will be also available curbside during the summer school service at those sites. And then we also are hoping to be able to provide service as far as meals at the pool again this year. So we're working on that. planning for next year. We are planning on welcoming students back full-time to a regular in-person instruction. ODE is currently gathering input from stakeholders around the state, and there is scheduled a session similar to the session that Director Aparicio mentioned that he's been invited to. The superintendents will have a session next Tuesday, and so we'll get kind of a preview of what they're looking at and be able to give input. And the state will they're scheduled to release their final guidance on the Ready School Safe Learners for the 2021-22 school year on July 22nd. And in the meantime, we are surveying our virtual academy families to see what their intentions are, making sure they know that we are planning on being in person full time, and gathering that input. It will help us with planning for the fall, as well as the guidance that we'll get for summer school during the summer for school next year. Update on the Riverbend charter renewal. We have a financial plan that we worked through with them, and it's we set a 3-year payback for that. And the application for renewal for the charter, which the charter expires June 30th, it is being finished up. As far as the negotiation process is done, we're just working on having the write-up of that, and we should have that done. And then we're also doing a site visit from the district to the school, and we'll have the charter renewal before the board. We're hoping for June 17th. And negotiations with our D21 licensed staff, and then also our classified staff. Both of those agreements expire on June 30th of this year. And we agreed to negotiate on salary and insurance alone and roll over the current contract language and the other articles in those contracts. We met with them Monday night? Was it Monday night? Tuesday night? Tuesday. Thank you. It's been a busy week. I'm pleased to say we have a tentative agreement with both associations. They are taking it to their members next Tuesday, and so then we will be bringing that to this board June 17th. Fingers crossed that gets voted on and approved by their membership. And that will be great that Dr. Renewal can start her first year without having to negotiate right off the bat, which would be nice. And I was actually going to also mention the high school drama department and make sure that people knew that they could go on the Ed Foundation site to donate. So thank you for doing that. And that's my report. Okay. Questions?
Of course. And the PayPal link for that is actually embedded in the YouTube video description. It's not on the Ed Foundation website, just clarifying that. So my first question was, because school is going to look different next year, will you have to renegotiate with the union about coming into school 5 days a week?
No, because that is the normal status of our normal contract.
Okay. Yep. Secondly, I know you're gathering data from the virtual academy families, but is there any intention to offer that next year for families who continue to wish to just be online?
Yeah, it kind of depends. It depends on the data we get back, but then also I have a feeling from a little preview that we've had as superintendents of what the guidance may end up looking like. They're going to be, the Department of Ed is planning on putting in, I believe, some stringent guidelines for virtual academies throughout the state. And so it depends. And so I also would want to make sure that Dr. Bernal has some input in that process. So I want to make sure that we gather the information and then we can move forward depending on what we have.
Yeah, there is a lot of data coming out about online education. It needs some improvement for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do know like Hood River High School already offered to sell us pre-pandemic for kids that just want to be at home.
Yeah.
You know, so wondered if that was going to continue. And then what was the other question? Oh, so with the summer school, are you at capacity, or are you still welcoming more students to sign up for summer school?
Great question. We are not at capacity. We do have criteria for selecting students to invite them to participate. So part of that is in the end of the year assessments that we're doing, so that we can see learning loss basically, and apply those guidelines, and then reach out and extend those invitations to those students' families.
So teachers or counselors are like contacting specific families saying, hey,
The school will.
based on this data, we encourage your child to sign up, type of thing. Is that happening at the high school as well?
Yes, I believe it is happening at the high school because they're focusing on credit recovery.
Yeah. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Thank you.
You have the amount of staff that you need for summer school?
You know, we do for our K-8 summer school program. However, I know that the migrant summer program is still looking for staff for that. So we've, as I mentioned before, we've not offered the K-8 program. So that is new for our district. But our staffing so far for that is we are good. And we put in place some steps to be able to also hire high school students and having a process in place for that. We ended up getting enough of our instructional assistants that applied, and so we are sharing information with those students with the ESD for potential hiring for migrant programs.
Yeah, I did want to say kudos to that. I thought that was a super cool idea, offering jobs to high schoolers. And then I also just saw today you guys are offering this little 2-week pre-kindergarten orientation type thing, and I thought that was really neat. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. That's the Jumpstart kindergarten program, and we've actually had that in place. I think it's been 5 years, 6 years. Forgive me. It's been at Dry Hollow. I just can't remember how many years we've offered it. But we work with our preschool partners to identify students who could use an extra 2 to 3 weeks of instruction around social skills, social emotional skills as well, and then just executive functioning, being able to focus on a task, etc. And so it's a half-day program, about 2.5 hours a day, and we not last year, because we weren't able to do it last year, but the year before that, we had not just a teacher and an assistant, but we also staffed it with a SELA, a social emotional learning assistant. And so we were able to increase the enrollment from 8 students in the morning session and 8 students in the afternoon session to 12 in both. And yeah, so we've offered that for about 5 years, but it takes, and we are offering it again this year. We're coordinating with our preschool partners to identify students to invite to that program. Yeah, thank you.
I have a couple questions myself. One is just on the vaccine clinics. I think there's confusion in the community as to where the ones actually putting them on and doing it. And so you just clarify that process and who's the host, and just so there's clarity, because I think there is this misperception in the community.
Yes, thank you very much. We do not host the clinic. We work with our public health department in following our school board policies around premise use requests. And so for example, the Friday Night Lights event, it was held on district property. However, the health department went through our board policy process for requesting to use the facilities. And that's what we would do also for placing the FEMA vaccination unit at, for example, the Wetumpka parking lot. So we would be offering the space. The health department would be utilizing our policy, and we'd be following the policy to allow that.
No, I've seen that amongst the community. I just want to make sure that they understand that it's no different than, say, a sports league using our gym. They sign providing insurance, and then they put on the event. It just so happens that it's at a school facility within D21, but we're not the ones putting on the event.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then if I missed it, I know this whole mask thing has been ebbing and flowing. For graduation, what does that mean for parents and their kids?
You
Since
know,
it's outdoors at Cirrhosis?
correct. So I'm working with Mr. Evans, and there's multiple layers of guidance, I must say. And so Mr. Evans and I will make sure that the students and parents it's clearly communicated what is allowed and what's not. Social distancing will definitely need to apply. And so since the event is being held at Cirrhosis Park, it's not on district property, it's at a park. It would fall under the sector guidance, kind of as far as mask wearing. And so we wouldn't need to wear masks. However, I also want to make sure that it's very clearly communicated that people may want to wear masks. And so either way, people would be welcome to either wear a mask or not, but the social distancing will need to apply as far as keeping a distance. And I did follow up with the health department today just to make sure, because I had all of the various guidances laid out on my desk, making sure that I'm, following what needs to be followed. And there was specific guidance that came out from ODE last week when they were doing clarifications around masks that applied to graduation ceremonies outdoors.
And then this is more, not so much a question, I guess, voice the displeasure with the state in general and what they've tasked us with between masks and vaccine checks. I mean, I think just, in my mind, it doesn't make any sense, and it puts us in a very weird and awkward situation with our community to require vaccine check. I mean, it's just, they put us in a tough spot, and I think, your guidance and just kind of keeping things as it is probably the most prudent. But the state's just done a terrible job, in my opinion, and it just put us in a tough spot. We're here to deliver the best education we can for kids, and we got these other distractions to kind of consider, and it's just been tough. So I hope the community can appreciate that, there are these layers that are being tasked on us in addition to, and we're doing our best that we can to provide the best education that we can for the kids. And, we're not going to please everyone. And it's just, it's just been terrible all around lately with just what's coming out of Salem and the state. So we're doing our best, everyone. And I think Superintendent Peters has done great navigating us through the ever-changing requirements and tasks that we've gotten handed down from above us. So it's more, like I said, more of a comment. It's just, it's been a tough few weeks with the many changes that we've been handed. That's all I have.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Chief Financial Officer's report. Cara?
Hi. Included, can you hear me? I included the financial summary in the financial write-up, so hopefully you noticed I just squished those together. Just a couple of highlights. We all care about the general fund projected ending fund balance. Last month it looked like $1 million. This month it's 1.2. There's still a lot of caveats that are going to come and go and ebb and flow over the next month, really next 3-6 months, so to say. And that will matter. The tax collection is still a little odd, so I'm still trying to work that out and figure out what's going on. But the construction excise tax collection isn't as high this year as it has been in the past, but there may still be more coming. Construction is kind of semi-booming right now, even with high costs. There are some things that we pay out at the end of the year for contract language. And then we do have some miscellaneous expenses that may continue to come, and I'll just use an example. I don't know if anybody noticed the Wetonka field wasn't being watered because we had a irrigation pipe break. And would you know that that irrigation pipe is actually asbestos, so you have to get special things and I learned all about that. So those aren't as cheap as you think. So assuming nothing else, no pipes break literally, we will. So when I say we don't anticipate some repairs, those are the things I'm talking about. So that's continuing, and I just put in a note, if we do end at 1.2 million, which I'm hoping we're close to that, it is 3.2% of the budget, just as an FYI. And we started the year with a beginning fund balance of 486. So we're going in the right direction, but we have a lot of uphill battles, and we have federal money this year. And part of that, just for kicks and giggles, was the $700,000 that we got from the ESSER one fund that was used to kind of help with personnel costs with the district. And then the CDL CARES money really assisted with the hotspots and the technology that we had to purchase this year. And with limited extracurricular activities, we did save a little bit there. I just keep adding this in there. The only fund that could be concerning at the end of the year that we'll certainly keep an eye on is the Nutrition Services Fund. We want to make sure we keep that up to date. The state matches are coming out soon, so we will have to use some general fund money to transfer there so we can capture the state match. I haven't seen what that will be yet, but we'll want to make sure we use that. If it stays on target with what it's been doing, we should have about $70,000 in the fund at the end of the year, but I would hold my breath on that one because there's a lot of coming and going there too. So I say that with bated breath, so to say. And I'm keeping as a reminder the 3 state pots that we're getting, which are funding most of our summer school. We have to pay 25% out of, we're using ESSER $3 for the 25% because there is a 20% of ESSER 3 has to be spent specifically on learning loss. So keeping that in mind. So just giving you an idea, we would normally share these funds with Mosier for the K-8 programs. They don't have resources to do that this year, so they're not going to participate so far. And then I just kept the federal money in there because that's a large one. I did add a new spreadsheet because that's what numbers nerds like me do. And I'll feel like I'm Vanna White. It's this particular looking one if you have color. This is actually something I've shared with our bargaining union leadership. They're curious what we're spending our federal funds on. I think it's great for everyone to know what we spend our federal money on. It is all public dollars, so is most of the general fund. But so the ESSER 1 money will primarily be spent by the end of the year. We might have a small carryover to next year. It may be for Riverbend, and Mosier may have a little bit at the end of this year to roll over. We may have a 20,000 or so, but not a lot worth talking about. The second pot is the CDL money that had to be spent by 4/31, so that's fully spent. Don't be alarmed. It does look like, St. Mary's got $118 extra. It was just an accounting thing. They really did, but don't worry, it came from the district, so we didn't take it from anyone else. Just a technicality, and that just happens. ESSER 2, that is the pot we are looking at using next year. I'm estimating, close to 1.3 next year, but we also are spending a little bit on technology. We have a large amount of Chromebooks that expire. I didn't know Chromebooks expired, but the licenses do, and we can't maintain them and keep them up with all of our district policies if they're expired. So we do have to replace those. And, depending on what we need, a strange little thing that people may not know, but all of the portables, the outhouses are expensive. Yes. Those are surprisingly expensive. So don't anybody tip them over. I just realized that costs a lot of money to clean them up. So please don't do that, whoever may do that or not. So that's actually coming out of our ESSER dollars, and that's because we have to have outdoor facilities available for people to use. So, yes, they're available. And the other one I have down there is ESSER 3. There's an interesting requirement in ESSER 3 that is that we have to publish a tentative plan and come up with comments, and we are in the really early phases of ESSER 3, so I'm waiting on guidance from ODE on what their plan is. The district already does have an open process that covers SIA funds and high school success and some other programs, so it may be able to leap right into that, but just know that may come up and we may have to do a separate process for that. But I think that's kind of it financial wise. There's nothing else that was concerning, alarming, or different unless anybody had questions. I won't bore you with too many numbers. Made you look at new spreadsheets.
I did have a question because you said that Motor School is not going to be providing summer school. So for their K through 8 students, if they have learning loss or missed a class or something, they sign up for the 1 year, or how does that work?
I think it partly is. That's a great question. I know Mosier was, they had access to funds for summer school, and they're choosing not to. So I would want to make sure that the space is utilized by the students with, exactly, within our district, and if they have the first, well, I know there's district that we give the first opportunity to the students, and it is limited because we still have the space limitations, et cetera. And so I don't think we're going to have a difficulty filling our 150 slots that we have right now. So
I'm just surprised they have the funds for it and they're choosing not to do it. Is it really just a staff issue?
well, partly you have to, you also have to utilize, like, a certain percentage has to come from local funds. I think it's 25%. So even though the state is giving you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maybe they didn't have that 25% match or something.
That could be.
Well, and I can say from talking with Janice Carter over there, they do have their staff are burnt out and ready for summer. And we did talk a little bit.
Like everywhere.
I know, yeah, everybody is. Yes, I know.
Special.
Yeah, and so we did talk internally about extending that to the K-8 kids at Mosier, but the same thought is true. Like superintendent is saying, we believe it'll be filled with the learning loss of the district kids, and so that's
Especially with the 150 slots.
Yeah, that just seems like NCS is kind of missing the boat on that one, unfortunately. But maybe it's a financial thing.
It could be, but honestly, I was surprised that we didn't have an issue filling all of our positions. I thought we were going to have more of an issue filling our positions as far as our teaching.
Yeah, I'm amazed. And whoever out there signed up to work summer school, thank you very much. I can't believe you. You guys are gods and goddesses because, wow, after this school year, I would just want to relax on the beach for a few minutes. Thank you.
I did have one on the summer and that 20. Are we fully using the 20%? Because I would imagine that if it's earmarked for only the summer, then it's a use it or lose it. Is that accurate or?
for the summer school money.
Yeah. So are we actually using the 20%? The full 20.
Well, the 20% applies to the ESSER $3.
Yeah.
So if we spend 100,000, 25% of that, so 25,000 has to come from local funds. We are trying to maximize and leverage the dollars as much as possible. The thing I'll say we are struggling with, and even though we've applied for it, is the school childcare money. You know, staffing, we are getting to the right staffing levels, but we've been very active at recruiting. You know, the principals have done a great job of, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? And we are paying a little higher for summer school as well. And so those things I think are bringing people in, but it is a lot of money to spend. And the 9 through 12 funding is specifically for academics and credit recovery, so that's a little more restrictive. The K-8 money does have more flexibility, but again, I've been actively trying to find other organizations to partner with to do enrichment programs outside of academics, and people are, Wasco County is not doing anything other than opening the pool this summer, and the Discovery Center is the next, and I'm just using examples, but people are burnt out, they're tired, they're still nervous, I think, so it's been difficult, but we'll leverage and use as much of these dollars as we can.
And then with this added summer stuff, I know probably this time of the focused on closing the books by June 30. So, I mean, does that, I guess, extend out our ability to close out just the fiscal year and as you ramp up the new one?
No, well,
Any different than, I guess, any different than?
it's a little more challenging because our summer program is going to go through June 30th and then start again in July 1st. So we have to separate those financially. So it's going to be, a little more work to do that. But, we still have to close the books none the same no matter what happens. So it'll just create a little more work, and I'll have to bring donuts to the office ladies. And
well, thank you, because it seems like it adds more than what you would typically do to kind of end and start the fiscal year. So thank you. And then I want to echo Rebecca's comment. Thank you to all the staff that have signed up for the summer and be able to provide that for our kiddos, because that's a huge lift, and I can't thank you enough or ever probably. So thank you.
You want to say anything about student enrollment?
Student enrollment, I included, of course, the same reports last month. The overall student enrollment numbers are down 6. I couldn't tell you exactly what those 6 are. For kicks and giggles, I did keep the virtual academy enrollment in as a comparison to last month. It went down a little bit from 443 last month to 437, and I don't think that students are dropping. I think a few transitioned into school, possibly, I'd heard. Huh? Or graduated. Yeah, the high school had 2 less, but the other ones were 1 or 2. I put little notes on there. I couldn't tell you exactly off the top of my head what any of them are, but they're very similar to last month. We are closing the third semester ADM, so it'll be interesting to see how we close the year. And again, next year is a pretty pivotal year for enrollment. So.
And do you want to talk at all about the action item?
Yes. Forget what I was doing today. I do have a resolution requesting a transfer of appropriations. We still have budget that was authorized and not used for the student investment account, so I'm just shifting it around. And this is because, like you were just saying, it occurs to me that we are paying for summer school in June, so I need to have the budget authority, so to say, to spend all these expenditures. So it probably we won't spend the entire amount, just having enough in case we are able to do some of the things up front. There were some other hope things. So I'm requesting that we move $204,000 into federal programs to cover part of the 25% match that's required for ESSER 3. And of course, it's instruction, support services, and enterprise and community services, which is mostly nutrition services and meals. And then it'll come from to and from state grants. We'll move out $814,000 from SIA, which we have ample authority. We had $2.3 million. We only received, I want to say 1.5. No, anyway, it was less. And so we'll have in enrichment programs, the state money, transferring it to those programs for the similar areas, instruction, support services, and then community services, which is nutrition programs. So I request your authorization to do that.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve resolution 2021-15. Well, I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2021-15. Right. Can I have a second? Okay, Rebecca. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions on this? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor of approval of resolution 2021-15. Transferring appropriations and the redistribution of appropriations. Vote yes. Vote. Okay, it's unanimous. Motion passed. Okay, so the next is another action item, approving the authorization of contracts.
Yes, and that I can give an overview on. This is also for our seismic rehabilitation project at the Kurtz Gym. This one you had originally approved. You've approved the architect and engineering firm, and then the GMGC contract, and I keep getting that one CMGC contract with Griffin Construction. This one, since then, Griffin Construction has put out bids for all of the construction services we need. We are still working through those bids and finalizing them, but I'm requesting authorization from the board for us to authorize those contracts under Griffin Construction. And within that, there's a potential for us to add 2 items, which would come from our enterprise zone funds. Right now, the fund has $551,000. The maximum we would spend out of this, which I hope is not achieved, would be $250,000. There's 2 pieces of it. On the north side of the building, there's all the windows on that section. When you drive up by the high school, you're going to see all those windows. That's not part of the rehabilitation project. It's not part of the scope of the rehabilitation. So all the windows on all the other side of the building would be replaced except those. So we would like to replace those in some form or another. We did, CCS, Christopher Tonning and I presented to the City Historical Committee yesterday and talked about it, and we will try to maintain the historical preservation outside look of the building, which includes those windows. So I'm not entirely sure on the cost of those. We're looking at maybe acrylic or a polymer kind of window look. So it depends on what we settle on, what the cost will be. The $200,000 of that would be for that. And then we're looking at, we would like to fix the heat in the gym if that's possible. Since they're already in there working it, what we would like them to do is bring those heaters down, and then we can have someone come in and look at them, hopefully repair them, and then put them back up. So this $50,000 is to cover the cost of bringing them down and putting them back up. So between all of them, you know, the maximum construction cost should be $1.87 million plus another $250,000 for the enterprise fund. Both of these are built into our budget next year, but this is authorization for us to do the contracts and move forward.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget for capital improvements for Kurtz Gym. There is a move. There's language for making that motion on that page. So I entertain motion. Yeah.
I'll move to approve the budget for capital improvements for the Kurtz Gym Seismic project in the amount of $1,870,080 from the Seismic grant and another $250,000 from the enterprise funds, totaling $2,120,080. And to further authorize district staff to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price contract with Griffin Construction LLC.
Second. Second, any discussion? Okay.
I just want to say this is exciting to see. I think it'll be great to be able to do some upgrades to Kurtz. I mean, that's a long-standing, just historic, and obviously I am biased, but it's probably one of the coolest gyms in the state that people get to play when they come and play against the Riverhawks. But it's just great to see, and I'm glad to see us kind of thinking, how can we, achieve some efficiencies while the seismic work is going on to just kind of do some additional upgrades, being that we have the ability with the enterprise zone fund. So it's great to see, and I hope the community can appreciate that we were able to secure this grant, and we're able to now, just a bit over $2 million into that awesome facility that we have within our community. So thanks everyone, and I look forward to kind of seeing the progress over the next few months.
Great. Okay, so we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving that motion, raise your hand or say aye. It's unanimous, motion passes.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, so we added an item here, approval of the budget committee.
Attorney report.
Oh, what?
Attorney report. Attorney report.
Oh, I thought we were adding approval of the budget committee meeting.
That's each one. I think
Oh, that's in 12, isn't it? I put it in the wrong place. Okay, gotcha. All right. So yeah, it's time for the attorney's report.
Just to bring you up to date on the MCCC lease with Franca Campus, I'd sent the paperwork over to their representative, asked them to have it back to us. Haven't received it yet. I hope to have it by this board meeting, so I'll have to bring it back. We'll bring it back before the board at the June board meeting. The lease runs through the end of June, so we still have some time. I was trying to get out ahead of that, but as soon as I get that back, we'll re-up them for one more year.
Okay. Any other?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we're at the discussion action item number 12. So the first thing on it is to approve the 2021-22 school board meeting calendar. Teresa, would you like to talk about that?
Thank you, Chair Nelson. We have a proposed calendar for next year's school board meetings, and Cindy Miller was kind enough to update it in the same format as far as Thursday meetings, etc. And the only thing that is kind of in flux is the January meeting, which is listed as Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, or Thursday, January 20th, 2022. And so I think looking at some of the events that typically happen in January, like the chamber banquet, typically we've moved the board meeting in January to accommodate. But another factor is the superintendent in the past has attended a state level conference for superintendents that happens in January as well. And so once we have some input from Dr. Bernal on whether she's attending that, we'll be able to settle on a date.
So how does that affect the approval of the?
I think that the board meeting in January will either be on Wednesday the 12th of January or Thursday the 20th of January. So both will be there, and then later on this can be updated.
Okay. So I entertain a motion to approve that calendar.
Make a motion to move to approve the 2021-22 school board meeting calendar for Wasco County 21.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Okay, we go to a vote. All those in favor of approving the calendar for the 21-22 school board meeting calendar, say aye or raise your hand. That's unanimous. Motion passes. Okay, so now we are at approving number 12A, right? So that's the clarification on the budget committee meeting minutes. So this is why we pulled this. We have to add a statement and I'm going to read that statement. At the May 4th, 2021 Budget Committee meeting, a motion was made and approved by the Budget Committee to approve the amendments as presented to the proposed budget, which included increasing the superintendent's office FTEs from 2.5 to 3.0. This statement is to clarify that the Budget Committee doesn't have the authority to approve an FTE, and the language should instead reflect that the Budget Committee requested additional information from the superintendent around potentially including FTE for a communications specialist position in the proposed budget document. The Budget Committee's requested information was received and presented by the superintendent and the CFO at the May 4th Budget Committee meeting. And so I would like to refer to the policy that we have on the purpose of the Budget Committee. And I'll read that section because that kind of explains why this motion was made in error, really. Because we don't, as a board, have the authority to determine programs. We have only the authority to determine levels of spending. So this is the way it reads. Function of the Budget Committee in our policy. It is the function of the Budget Committee to approve the budget estimates for an educational plan previously determined by the board. No new program should be considered for the budget estimate that has not been previously submitted to the board and approved as part of the educational plan. Here's the crux of the matter. The Budget Committee will determine levels of spending, but will not determine programs. And so approving a program, which would be like approving a change in the FTE, because it's a status which belongs to the office of the superintendent. So that's an administrative decision. It's not a board decision, basically. So we want to include this statement in the minutes for future history, so that when if people stumble across this, we can go back to these minutes and explain what happened here. It's not, we didn't do anything illegal or anything. It's just, we should never have made that motion, because the motion to approve the budget, that was in order, but this motion that we made was not. So that's why we need to do this. So any questions on that or discussion? Or did I actually make this clear to the rest of you?
You were clear, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were just in error thinking that we can approve FTE, but it's obviously your choice.
That I think honestly there was excitement, and that was what was behind it. So just to add to that, Chair Nelson, we did when we were reviewing the minutes following the meeting, we did seek guidance from OSBA, and this is what they recommended, just for clarity's sake, so that this is in the minutes as well as approved.
Yeah. So I would entertain a motion to approve these this amendment to the minutes for the Budget Committee.
I'll make that motion to approve the amendment to the minutes of the last Budget Committee meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote.
Just to add more context, and that for those who may not have tuned in to the Budget Committee meeting. So the discussion on the FTE side with a 0.5 increase in the superintendent's office for a communications position. So, and so in my mind, the process did work in terms of the feedback was given by the committee, and the administration came back with a solution based on the feedback. And so I think that process definitely worked. It's just that final step was one that was kind of out of bounds or out of the purview of the budget committee. But that dialogue and the interaction in terms of feedback from what is presented to the committee, I think that process went really well, and it's great to be able to see that we have administrators that do listen to a committee like that, because outside of the board, there are 7 others from the community that do volunteer their time to review a very large document. And, it's great to be able to see that process work out so well.
Yeah. I might add, it's been the wish of the board and past boards to increase our communication capability. And we've never had the money to do it. So finally we figured out a way that we can at least add to it, and hopefully we can expand it in the future. Okay, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of that motion, say aye or raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes. It's unanimous. So the last item on the agenda is for your information only. It's policy JECBA. They are on that. That's procedures for admission of exchange students. Does anyone want to speak to that? Yes.
Thank you, Chair Nelson. Mr. Evans contacted me regarding updating the AR around our admission of exchange students. And the intention was to, in the previous AR, it limited how many students were, one particular program was able to, we were able to admit. So for example, previously, AFS was limited to 2, Rotary was limited to 2, EF Foundation was limited to 2, and International Cultural Exchange Services was limited to 1. We updated the AR to include an additional service program that is in our area, the International Student Exchange. And instead of identifying a specific number for each program, we have opened it up a little bit wider to where no individual program could have more than 3 students, and it limits it to a ratio of 1 foreign exchange student per 100 students within the school. So it just adds some flexibility. So if one program has, let's say, 3 students that are ready to come, and another program only has 1, then we are able to be a little more flexible. So that's the update.
Okay. All right. So we don't have to take any action or anything at this time. That's the first meeting. So we've come to the end of this meeting, and without objection,